Good morning, everyone. Today I wanted to share with you our local Directors Network meeting that we have monthly on the second Tuesday of every month here in Mesa County in Western Colorado. So we had a great discussion about staffing this month here in October. And so we wanted to share this with you so that you can spur on some ideas and conversation in your local market around your center. And so hopefully this conversation will be beneficial to you. We talked about staffing strategies, we talked about scheduling, we talked about advertising, some hiring stuff, some substitutes. So really excited about that. And there is a special invitation you've probably gotten already for our November 2021 Directors Network. So look forward to that too. So we wanted to give you a peek at this so that we can jump on and continue this conversation in November. Lots of good information here about hiring and staffing because it is an ever such a huge challenge right now in our economy. And so there's lots of good tricks, trades, and ideas out there. So here's a few. Hope you enjoy this Zoom meeting we had in October 2021 here in my local market.
Follow me.
Then this is the channel for you.
You go. It's pretty cool, huh?
I guess let me just kind of dive into this topic. And I have this conversation. I've had this conversation with someone in this meeting, and I know that our Directors Network meeting participation seems to have continues to shrink a little bit. However, the after live watches on Facebook, I think the editing and all of that is so pretty efficient and going good right now that a lot of people are catching this outside of this. So we're obviously speaking to a little bit bigger audience than just our small handful that's here. But I spoke with someone that's on this call today and I said, hey, I've got someone that I'm interested in bringing on, but they really want full-time and I don't have full-time, but I would love to sub them. I'd love to have them float. And I think that if maybe we partnered together that, you know, she could sub in my classroom, she could sub in yours, and I don't want to let this one slip through my fingers, right? We've all had those maybe. And the response was, sure, yeah, let me interview her. So obviously we would both interview. That maybe is a good way to think outside the box when it comes to beefing up your sub pool. But I can tell you from my experience, the minute I think I'm fully staffed and I don't need to hire, that I don't need to have my fishing pool out in the pond looking for potential great ECT swimming by, I'm wrong. And so I always want to keep something out there, free advertising, something so that I have the potential of someone walking in my door or picking up the phone and calling in. So advertising. And maybe we all don't want to give our secret spots we advertise in, but I'll tell you mine at least. And if you have a good one, throw it out there as well, because it kind of starts with that too, right? I hire some good people from Indeed. It's a big pond. We're kind of a small geographic, sub pond of Indeed, but I feel like there's a lot of good professionals out there on Indeed. That's a positive. The downfall is it's expensive. I spend a lot of money, I feel like, on my Indeed ads, and sometimes I'll spend $150 and get like 3 applicants. That's a little bit odd, but it does happen. So it's expensive. Make sure you've got an ad on the Mesa County Workforce Center connecting Colorado, right? And so I wish they would let us reset our password electronically, but that's one of my only beefs with connecting Colorado is if you don't get in for a while, you always have to reset your password, I feel like. But maybe Judy's got a response to that or a solution. Craigslist. There's Craigslist advertising for employment. So make sure you find that. Facebook. There's Grand Junction job opportunities. There's Western Slope job opportunities, I think. And I think there's another one. But look for groups in Grand Junction, Mesa County, Western Slope for jobs, Facebook, because it's free. Craigslist is not free. I paid $20 for my last listing on Craigslist, but I think I got 2 or 3 applicants, and I'm not sure if one of them I hired. So we said Indeed, Workforce Connecting Colorado, which is through the Workforce Center, Facebook, Craigslist, your families. So create an ad through your company's Facebook page. Okay. So hopefully your center has their own Facebook page, and then go to like more and find 3 dots and hit more and hit jobs and create an ad there, and find some clip art and what have you. You can do just a written ad with a couple images, and then share that out to your parents, share that out to all of the people you know. And, let your parents know that, some people are like, I don't want to let, I remember a center, should I say their name? They haven't been around for a long time and they retired, but they would never advertise. I offered my staff a $100 bonus if they gave me a referral for an ECT that I hired. So after 3 months, so Dusty, if you were with me and you said, oh, Jocelyn used to work in preschool, she's a teacher, maybe she wants to work for us. You reach out to Jocelyn, she comes in, I hire her, she's on for 3 months, I pay a $100 recruiting bonus. I think I just have to remind my staff that, hey, if you have anybody, keep thinking, because so have your staff go try to recruit. I don't reach out to any other preschool teachers in the area if they're working for someone else. If they apply, of course, I'm going to respond. If my staff apply to Little Peaches or somewhere else, I would hope you would give them an opportunity to look at employment. But from my teachers, if they want to reach out to people they know, people they've worked with, that's a little bit different. Make sure you've got an internship opportunity with the Workforce Center. Okay, so for paid adult internships, if you need more guidance on that, reach out to Judy. I'm sure she can help you. So maybe you need help in the kitchen, put in an ad for a cook intern. Okay, I actually had a preschool teacher that worked for me for years. She was a lead teacher. She left for like 6 years, came back, and we needed a cook. And she's like, I'll try. And I'm like, well, I've got an internship opportunity for a cook at the Workforce Center. I was able to hire her back to work in my kitchen. She was a lead teacher, and the first 3 months of her time with me was paid for. But that allowed me to give her more additional training and have her do some work outside the kitchen and all kinds of research. All kinds of training and stuff like that. And I was able to put an extra staff with her a bunch of the time to help her. And she absolutely loved it. She was a great cook. She's an art teacher and crazy creative. So you can imagine what came out of the kitchen. So speaking of administrative assistant, kind of on one of my next ones is, are you growing an administrative assistant in your program right now? My guess is you are, but you may not know it. So I was growing one and I didn't know it. So make sure when you're talking to your staff about how they're doing and their personal professional development plan, you know what they're wanting. So I had a staff member that applied with the district. Now, I've lost 7 lead teachers in the last 3 months to the school district. They would call on referrals and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And they go, Kirk, I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry I'm calling you. I go, yeah, you are and you're not. Because we breed good teachers and you're taking them all. I hate losing them, but I also don't want to halt the growth of a teacher if that's where they want to be. Okay, sorry, I'm rambling. I had a teacher that applied for a receptionist job at Fruita Monument High School, and she got passed over. She applied again, got passed over again because she didn't have experience. And she was doing great with me for 4 months, not a lead teacher, but she had great personal skills. Make sure you're talking to your staff on what they're wanting, where they're wanting to go, and then find and create an opportunity in your center, if you can, for them to land. And maybe she'll be with me for a year, maybe 2 years. Okay. As long as she's a quick learner, I'm in. You got to be a quick learner though. I don't want to spend a year grooming somebody to take over a major role for them to leave. How do you train somebody in that role? Guys, I'm just going to keep going because I'm kind of on one right now. Screen recording. Make sure you have screen recording software. I use Camtasia and I spend $250 a year for a yearly subscription. I can install that software on 2 desktop or 2 computers. every day when I'm at the center and I'm just doing general administrative stuff, I'm checking email, and then I'm handling this parent, a drop-in tuition, then I'm handling the phone call, and I'm checking the wait list. I open up that screen recording and I have it set on my computer screen. And when I'm doing some work, I hit record, and it records all the work I'm doing. And I've got a playlist right now of like 7 30-minute administrative task recordings. So 7, that's 3.5 hours of training, just general administrative stuff. And so now I can take my new gal that come out of the classroom and say, sit down, watch this. If the phone rings, answer the phone. All different areas of generally running our business, I've captured that for them. It didn't cost me anything. It didn't take any extra time. I had to do the general work, right? So it's kind of like you can give them here's your job duties, and read this, and this will tell you how to run our preschool. That book doesn't exist, right? But having you just explaining what you're doing. Okay, this is a parent calling about this. This is, Judy. She's asking if we have any hiring needs. So maybe I could reach out to her and get an ad on the Workforce Center, whatever it might be. So screen recording. Let me stop for a second. Does anybody have anything they want to throw in? Or does anybody need to yell at me for anything? So I really believe you just got to keep hiring. I know there's a cost to hiring, but there's also a cost to needing to be 3 places at once. There just is. And today when at noon, my cook comes out and she goes, the pot pie's not done. The pot pie's not done. And it's noon. It's like 12:04, and I'm going, there's 3 classrooms left to feed, 65 kids. She's like, what do we do? I go, pivot. What can you make? She's like, let's make sun butter and jelly sandwiches. And I got carrots, and I got this, and I got that. And I'm like, okay, what do you need? And my admin assistant was already helping in the classroom. I jumped in. I'm like, give me a job. She's like, well, I'm going to toast the bread. No, give me a job. Toast the bread. Got it. I toasted bread and I spreaded the peanut butter. But I also had my admin assistant that was in the classroom subbing, because we had a staff member that was really struggling today, walked into the classroom, started crying. What do you have? What's going on? My uncle died and this happened. I'm like, just go into the classroom. And that's the beauty of having an admin assistant, someone that's committed to going into that classroom and helping you and taking the heat off you. Because Dusty, if you walk into a classroom and someone's crying because uncle died last night and something else, you're going to go home, honey, go home. I got you. But that admin assistant at $15 an hour saved my tail, because I didn't have to do that. And I was able to spread the sun butter and toast the bread. Just clarify if people are needing full or part-time. There's so many people that will work part-time with an opportunity to work full-time. And that's where you groom them. Hire some dynamic aides, get them into these CDA programs and let them float. Because the minute I say you probably, I'm sure you'll have 10 to 15 hours. Now they're working 40 hours a week. And that was took a week and a half. But develop your own subpool so your staff have someone to call, so you have someone to go to. And I tell you, I just groomed and hired 2 administrative assistants. The one I talked about, and then the other one is Mr. David, who's been with me for 7 years. He was 3.5 in the classroom. He left, and then he circled back around after 2 years with Ariel and doing some other things. And he is just killing it. He's doing great. But have someone that is passionate about working in the classroom. I tried twice to hire administrative direct assistants who had lots of qualifications, but they didn't come from the classroom. And they didn't come from my classroom, and they just were not. They were nice. They were good people. Big hearts, love them. So make sure your people that are working in the office are like, I'll go. Yep, I'll go. It's me. You want me to go? I really believe that's what you need. So if you have someone that's not of that drive, I keep hiring people, and I go, before we tie the knot, we want you to come in and do a working interview. So I'll do an interview with them, a little bit on the phone, pre-qualified, maybe in person, and then a working interview. Unless I have a great phone interview, then I'll just throw them into a working interview. I let them know it's just an extension of this interview. It's an opportunity for you to try us on and us to try you on. And I still have teachers that go, oh, I've never done a working interview. and they've applied at 3 other schools here. Ladies, I don't know why you're not doing a working interview. It is such a great opportunity for you to literally try them on. And you put them in the classroom that you trust your teacher's judgment. If you want your teacher's buy-in, this is a great way to do it. It's a great way for your teachers to have buy-in on who you're going to hire. And so I go, hey, Dusty, I've got a working interview for you tomorrow. You got to tell me, would you work with this gal? Would you work with this guy? How does he make you feel? How does he talk? How is he with the kids? How does she do with, give her some tasks. Ask her if she'll read a story to your kids. I mean, we had one the other day that came in, and it wasn't 10 minutes later. And I tell them, it's like, hey, it's like your first day. Pretend this is your first day. Play with the kids, interact, get to know their names, ask, what can I do? And we give them a video that it's like 18 or 15 minutes. It prepares them for their working interview. How far out are you scheduled? How far out do you have your staff scheduled?
So no, we have no organization on that, like, at all. We kind of do the same thing. We don't do like a weekly one. We just are trying to plug in all the spaces, and right now we're having issues with like staffing and stuff, so it's changing all the time. Yep. And I mean, right now I have sticky notes, or the girls have a lovely whiteboard that they record when people are requesting time off, and that's what our director looks at to keep track of it. So we're completely, I even use the staff schedule from that we got from you to plug in there and that kind of thing. And yeah, we are having struggles with that for sure. Literally
3 weeks ago, I was week to week. And yeah, I have 80% of my staff, their schedules don't change. But 90% of those staff still request days off. They still have family and time off. And so I need to make a plan for that. So it's great when 80% of your staff, their schedules don't change. But, 6 weeks ago, I was right where Dusty was from a who's going to work where perspective, I feel like, and going, I was literally week to week. I'm like, it depends on who we hire this week on making next week's schedule. So, all right, with that being said, now I'm going to share my screen. Can you all see this schedule here? Can you see Donald Duck? Can you see Donald Daisy? Okay. So this is kind of a template that that you can use right away. And it's been a while since we built this, but and I've got a little improvement on it, but really this is the core of my staff schedule. And Dusty, what I heard you say is we use it, but I think you're saying we use it from an administrative standpoint, but the staff can't see it. So your staff should be able to see this right on their phone. They can see it right on their phone. And I'm going to move it just a little bit. Okay. Can you see week 1 down here? So we're going to, and here's the thing. All you have to do is request this for me if it's not already shared with you. Okay. I'll share it with you as an editable. Yeah, this isn't shared with any of you right here, but you might have a previous one. Here's what we do. I make a copy of this for you. Okay. And I put, so now I retitled this as Dusty's staff schedule. Now, Dusty, this is all yours. I'm going to share it with you right now. You're going to give everybody your email address. So I've just shared this with you. And now we're going to stop pretending like this is fictitious, because next Monday is my birthday, October 18th. All right. And so this is going to be the week for October 18th. And up here, you can double click and you can just go and grab October 18th. And it changes all the dates up here. So everybody knows your dates are correct. And you don't have Mickey Mouse, you have Mickey Moose that works in the toddler. So you can change their names, and then you can begin building their schedule. There's little legends down here. So official schedule. So right now, let's say this is just very tentative. Okay. It lets your staff know that it's not totally set in stone. So you can start building their schedule. C for us refers to our closing supervisor. That's the hardest part of our job, is hiring, retaining, supporting, training, coordinating our staff. And I'm a firm believer that I love Post-it notes. But I've got like a 48-hour lifespan on a Post-it note. Who's got a good secret out there that they'd like to share? Something. You all have gems out there. We all have gems.
Bane of my existence right now.
Yeah. I would really encourage everybody to call on references and be open to receiving calls from each other. I certainly am. I've got staff that have left that I know that are good staff. And if you call me and they were great, I'll tell you they were great. I'd hire them back. But I could also save you some headaches. Stephanie would have saved me a huge headache had I called her a couple years ago. And when I say a huge headache, again, she would have saved me from going down a tough road with an individual, big heart, love the person dearly because they're an amazing individual. But the industry wasn't right for her. And I wish I'd have known that. So do reach out.
I think our biggest issue that we're having right now is finding people, actually finding the people to do the interviews and that kind of thing is where we're struggling.
Got it. Like people are calling, but just don't have time to sit down and do interviews, or finding applicants.
Finding applicants. Yeah. We're just not having anybody apply. We get a lot of people who apply for our assistant positions and that kind of thing, but finding leads right now is a really, really big struggle.
How many different sources are you advertising in right now?
We've done Facebook and Acquire for Hire.
So two.
Our big ones. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Judy, would you do me a favor? Would you reach out to Miss Dusty and give her a proposal for a paid internship and help her create two of them, one for an early childhood teacher, one for a teaching assistant. And then Dusty, you have two possibilities that the gals at the Workforce Center will try to fill for you. They'll try to fill for you. Okay, they will. Okay, because they want to get people from the community into your program learning our trade. Okay, but then the other thing, I'm going to knock this myth. I'm going to out of the ballpark. Stop thinking you have to hire the people they send you, and that, well, they didn't give me a good one 5 years ago, so I stopped doing that program. I've heard that a few times. That's hogwash. Then you go hire someone for that. Because let's say, Dusty, you get a gal and you're like, oh, zero experience. I like her personality. I just don't know. Okay. She's an aide. Okay. What you then do is you go, you know what I will do? Would you be okay with part-time? Because Dusty, you're going, as an aide, I might only have a shift once a week. I might have 10 or 15 hours, right? Possibly. What about 29 hours a week? If you could guarantee this young aide that's excited, good personality, looks like she's got a little bit of work ethic, but you're like, I'm not sure. You send her to the Workforce Center and have her apply for a paid internship. Okay. They approve her. She goes through some process. They send her back to you, and now you get to decide still if you want to bring her on. But they're the Mesa County employee. They don't work for you. I mean, they work you're like a host. Okay. And then you get to try this young lady on for the next 2.5, 3 months. And then you decide whether you're going to hire her or not. It doesn't hit your payroll, so it saves money. That's a huge win. And then it gives you, I mean, you know in a couple of weeks, but in 3 months, whether this person is going to be hireable or not. So thank you, Judy. Do you have any questions for Dusty or?
No, I haven't never done this before, so this will be something new. I need to do some research on and how to do that. But Dusty, I'd be happy to help in any way I can. We have a couple other girls here that are so knowledgeable about what we can do here too. So let me do some research, and definitely, Dusty, let's get together and see what we can do to help you.
I'd like to join in that loop as well. Prior to COVID, I had a lot of interns come through from Workforce Center, and the last time I contacted, the program wasn't available. So I would love to get back involved with it as well. And this is Lori over at Futures.
I'm trying to find and I don't have one, and I should have one open right now. I know that Rose Cretchum? Is she there, Judy, at the Workforce Center?
I'm sorry, what was the name again?
Rose Cretchum?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so she was a very much a big part of that program, and it may have been reassigned. There may have been some reorganization, but you're going to find, and I'm just drawing a blank. There's a couple different departments there. There's a youth internship, which is from like 18 to 26, and then there's an adult internship opportunity from 18 and up. I had a 55, let's say, year old intern, a gentleman, come and do marketing for me, and he just used me to get through a 3-4 week period. And then he got his dream job here in Mesa County. So it was a great fit. So, but WIOA funds are funding the youth program. So yeah, once you ask around, you'll get to the right spot, and feel free to circle back and with me. So anyway.
Shonda Seitz is another contact that I had with my last intern about 2 months ago.
I'm going to go back to the sub pool. We know that Maru is no longer available for the sub pool that Stephanie Bivens worked so hard to put in place with us and what have you. But I've always believed in having your own sub pool. Be ready every day to pick up the phone, because Dusty, would you call someone this morning if you had somebody that was ready to work an 8-hour day? You got it. So you just got to line them up on the sidelines. And right now you just got to line them up in the classrooms, right?
But I think so. Just from like previous conversations that we've had and like things that I've seen and that kind of thing, like I guess it's always kind of amazed me how I want to say maybe like strict you are like with your staff, and that they respond to that. Every time that I've tried to crack down on staff, I have lost like so many people. And so like I guess like I'm just kind of curious as to like how you set that expectation from the beginning of like this is what is going to be like expected with, and like not intimidate people to where like they don't stay, does that make sense?
Yeah. Can you give me one or two, like you said, how you set the expectations, like what expectation? Can you give me 1 or 2 examples?
Like attendance, like, or for calling in, or like even lesson planning, that kind of thing. I feel like every time I try to step up quality in the building, like getting ready for rating or that kind of thing, I just lose people because they don't want to take that extra step of stepping up their game when I'm trying to step up our game. And it's caused a lot of issues.
Did you text and did you call the first 5 people on the list? Well, no. Do it. Call me back in 15. I'm giving them the tools to be successful. They're going to show me whether they're willing or not. Well, I don't feel well. I understand. But you're talking to me right now. I want you to turn around and talk to the 5 people that you need to check on your sub list, to see if they will step up for you. So, I mean, that's always been a big part of my focus is, do my staff have the tools to be successful, whether they're admin or a teacher, to successfully cover their shift, to successfully know who they're going to work with. That's why programs that I've heard programs where they text their staff the night before what their schedule is the next day. And I'm going, what? Because that program's never going to hold on to their staff. Their staff are only going to tolerate that for so long, right? So if you have your act together and have a good system, I think the staff also will gain some respect and admiration for that as well, right? Again, you give them the tools to succeed. They can see that schedule up 6-8 weeks. It doesn't matter if it's on Crew or if it's on a Google sheet. If they can plan their life beyond tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., that's you giving them a tool to be successful. Give them access to their coworkers to be able to cover their shift if they're not feeling well, because if you're the only one that has that information, of course they're going to come to you, and that's why you're trying to cover shifts at 8-9 o'clock at night.
I think, Kirk, what you're kind of stepping on is that what you're saying with that, putting the responsibility on them, does also give some accountability, but it lifts them up too, because then it's, I have responsibilities to this and there's some ownership that happens. And I do think you're right of trying to find your style with that. It does take time, and in kind of, Dusty, some conversations that we've had and thinking about like that relationship based of flipping questions back to your employee can help for them to think, you know, it's the same thing with your love and logic of, I wonder how we're going to solve that problem together. What do you think you can do? Same as what we do with kiddos, having that ownership and them solving their problem. And you're right there to support them very positively. But I do think that it's important it's not for just you to solve. If it always falls on your plate, you're going to break your plate. And I know that's the pot calling the kettle black. But at the same time, of the more that you can shift and let others own things, the more that you guys are going to start developing some of that team leadership, and being okay with letting go of some of the control with that, of what Kirk's kind of talking about, and pushing it back on your staff. Because again, you guys are a team. If you get dings with licensing, if you get really high quality, it's not just one person, it's everybody working together correctly or incorrectly or whatever that looks like. It takes everybody. And so I think that Kirk makes a good point of putting those responsibilities back on your staff, for them to be able to and allow them to have responsibility can really change some atmosphere.
Thank you for chiming in. That was a piece that I was missing. And I had a conversation with Miss Stephanie on my screen. She's bottom right. She's hiding. That's cool. And she told me that she has one of her staff that is in charge of her toddler side of her building or program, and one staff in charge of her preschool. So again, empowering your staff. And Dusty, Stephanie was exactly right. Once you give them power, them ownership, right? It's not my classroom, it's your classroom. It's not my Todd program, it's your Todd program. And maybe you find someone to lead different parts of your program and give them a 30, 60, 90-day chance to show good leadership.
Yeah. So I took my two buildings 4 or 5 months ago. I have my preschool side, my toddler side. I made up what we call the pod lead over both of those areas. It is up to them to talk with their directives, if you will, underneath them. And they talk to them about, things that are wrong, things that are doing great, things that aren't on schedule, things that they've kept on schedule. It's up to them. I've had one of my leads, actually my toddler pod, she's kind of bounced around covering because one of her directives kind of went out. So we were able to kind of work that out and shift them. Staffing is still something that comes to Tanya and myself. They're trying to figure it out. One of my pod leads is better than the other one at figuring out how to shift and get that covered. We've tried, and Kirk, you're amazing at it, to get those subs. We'll get all these people that say, yep, we want to do it. But when push comes to shove, we get nothing back from them to get on that list because, we found a job, or I need more hours than just being on call. So we don't have a ginormous sub pool, but we do have quite a few part-time employees that do want some extra hours that we're able to shift and move when needed. So that's been awesome. I'm with Steph, in giving them back. We use Crew. That's our main form of communication to our staff. We have a channel on Crew that is subbing, and they use that for their subbing purposes. So we use that for subbing and assistance when they need it, and contact, so they can reach out to somebody if they need it and to get some assistance and help. I also, and Kirk, you kind of hit on this, I put a lot of respect into my staff, and I tell them, if you respect me, I'll respect you. The things I want from you is you will be on time. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. They know that from day one. And I let them slide about 2 maybe 3 times. And honestly, I'll write them up. I don't play. I don't do it. And they know that. And I'm pretty firm and strict about it. You know, and I use the example, this is not a Walmart, this is not a Target where you have to go stock a shelf and put an item on a shelf. These are children where we have to cover numbers and we have to cover them. And they need our full undivided attention. I call you in when I need you, not when I don't. And they're, you know, for the most part, I have waves where they respect it. And then I kind of rear my head and say, okay, this is a blanketed, I'm going to throw it out there. Y'all better get on time or else. And then I get, you know, the reform and they go back to being on time again. And then I'll have another wave down the road and we kind of go back and forth. So Dusty, for you, I throw my expectations out. I am a follow through person. I'm not black and white, but I'm pretty black and white. Here's my expectations. This is what I expect to be followed. And here's the consequences for not following. Exactly how I teach my kids. They have the same set of parameters. Here's what I need. Here's what I expect, you know, and here's the consequences for not performing, you know, whatever that is. Having the 2 different pod leads has been really great. It's definitely been a new concept and a new challenge. And like I said, I've got 1 lead that's done very, very well. I have another one that still is struggling on certain things and certain aspects of how to completely lead that. But she's getting it. She's definitely getting it and understanding more. So, but I think respect is a huge way to, if you want your staff to perform for you, you have to have respect. We all have issues in life and we all have our battles we're encountering. The worst part of, I think, my center this year has been death. Between, you know, me personally and some other employees, we are up to 10 deaths across my center this year. And so with that is the struggle, you know, and that's been rough. That's been a pretty rough turn of events to have that many. But we're all chipping in and helping each other and trying to cover, you know, when somebody's leaving for funerals. Luckily, a lot of them have been local, but there have been some that have not. So we're just pitching in, but that's where the respect of, from me, understanding their personal life within margins. I mean, I still have a business to run and I still have classrooms to cover, but respecting their personal life of what they need to take care of too.
Yeah, good.
Tanya, who's also on here and she can talk to it, is we are, in a lot of ways, we're good cop, bad cop. She is she's the good cop. She's that people person. She's the face of conversation. She meets and greets parents as they come and go. She's friendly with staff. Me, honestly, I don't really care to see my clients. Hi, if I see you, goodbye if I don't. I got things to do, you know. I've gotten past that point, I guess, in where I am in my business. And Tanya's the face of it. She talks, she does it. Where Tanya is not as strong as I am, she's not the follow through. She will talk and talk and talk, but she won't push the apple until it has to be pushed. You know, and that's hard for her, but it's not for me. So I have that good cop, bad cop, you know, where we definitely have our highs and lows in my building.
As I said, you nailed that on the head. Like that's kind of the way we roll.
Yeah, your program needs to be able to do everything, but you don't have to do it all yourself. You just gotta, that's why I say you hire to your weakness. You know, if you're good at organization, you hire someone that's good at being creative. If you're good at being a stickler on policy and follow through, great. You hire someone that will be available to hug and love and listen and be that face. What so many owner directors do is they try to be able to do everything, because you can. Now, you can't do everything great, but you can do everything. And then you're just like, well, let's see how many years I can do everything. And that's that's where they crumble. That's where they crumble.
And that's where burnout happens. And honestly, for me personally, I've been doing this a long time. Without having Tanya, she's been in this position now for over 8 years, sitting in the chair next to me. And had she not gotten that chair and she not be where she was, I probably wouldn't do this. You cannot run it all. You have to give and dictate assignments, or else you're going to burn yourself out. You have to.
Yep.
I was gonna say, I think you kind of learned that more yourself this year too, right, Steph? I mean, you learned to give up some of the stuff because it was too much. Like even just like outsourcing our payroll finally after forever of you doing it. It's helped doing it.
Yeah, I did.
It's helped.
I did. I finally got it through my head that I needed to delegate more than I had, to stop driving myself crazy, payroll being one of them. I've done payroll the entire time I've been a director, which was 2007 is when I became a director, till present. And I finally outsourced this year.
There's hope in outsourcing. And if it comes down to where you just go, I just can't afford to hire the people that I need to have, then we just have to dig our heels in and figure out how to be more profitable. And there's so many ways that we can do that. And my goal and hope, because I'm very much where Stephanie is, I've been there for a long time, is how do I support my center and my staff? And I can support them oftentimes better not being there or being a drop-in, because there's so many other things that I can do. As Steph described for her, she's focusing on other things that can really come back and support our staff in other ways. And you said, sorry for being the problem child. Love the fact that you kept chiming in throughout, because you kept the conversation going. Because everybody that is not here on this call in Mesa County, not everybody, it might be a couple exceptions. Most of them are not here because they're so overwhelmed, they can't break the time. They're rocking babies. They're covering classrooms. They're you, but they can't even get to you because they're even more busy and more overwhelmed. So they're going to watch it tonight at 7:00 or whenever it gets uploaded. So thanks, Dusty, for throwing all those issues out there that we all have.
I was just going to say, Dusty, if you need help, give me a call. I'll help you. Been around a long time. Going electronic, which it was a feat, but it was one of the best things ever. And like Kirk said, I've stepped out. I've really kind of stepped out. It's Tanya's show.
All right. I think that's a signal that we got to wrap it up. So thanks, everybody. I think we covered some good stuff. We got definitely the biggest item on the agenda. At least we're starting to open the box and crack it. So thanks, everybody. Appreciate you. Have a marvelous day.